My lunch. My lunch, no, Lush, sorry. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Josephine, and on this channel we talk about all things fragranced. Today's video is going to be a video about very unique fragrances. These are scents that you're not typically used to smelling, and if you're looking for something that will make you stand out from the crowd, then these fragrances are for you. I have 10 perfumes with me today, so if you'd like to discover them, then please keep watching. I'm going to dive straight in with the most unusual and polarizing scent of all the fragrances that I have today. It is Concrete by Comme des Garçons. I have a little sample here, it's really cute, but I'll insert an image so you can see on the screen what it looks like. The packaging is amazing, it feels really good in your hand, and it has this concrete effect on the bottle, which is really cool. So how does this fragrance smell like? This perfume smells like concrete after the rain on a hot day. Let me explain. After it's rained, you'll have the water that evaporates from the surface of the concrete, and that will fill the air. This is what this perfume, to me, smells like. This perfume smells spicy, it's powdery, it's a little bit floral, so I get some clove in here, and also eugenol. So eugenol is a chemical component that is naturally found in cinnamon and nutmeg, but it can also be synthetically produced. And it gives like a lot of spiciness and a bit of woodiness to the perfume as well. So I do get that, and it's a bit floral, there's a bit of jasmine in here, a little bit of rose, but this is really taking a step back. To me, there's not a note that's really more prominent than another. It's just very abstract in terms of scent. If you are looking for a fragrance that is entirely different than anything that you smelled before, then I recommend you check Concrete by Comme des Garçons. The next perfume I'm very excited about because I recently discovered it and I immediately fell in love with it. It is called Bohemian Absinthe by Les Sœurs de NOëL. This fragrance, in a nutshell, smells like Santal 33 by Le Labo, but made really fresh with a twist of mint. So it opens with a very icy, almost frost-like bite of eucalyptus, and it just reminds me of the stillness and coldness of the North Pole, of just white snow everywhere. That is like how cold and icy it initially is. And then as it develops, you get that Santal 33 character that peeks through, but the leather in this perfume is smoother and less prominent than Santal 33. Bohemian Absinthe is also a little sweeter than Santal 33. I don't get much of a sweetness from Le Labo fragrance, to be fair. So it is different, but it does share that similarity with Santal 33. I think this is a great fragrance to wear during all year round. You can wear it in the winter, like in the summer, and it's quite easy to wear. I love it, and I think it's worth discovering. In London, it's available in Liberty specifically, but I'll put a link to their website as well down below if you're interested in this fragrance. Number 3 is number 4, BETEL by PHOTOGENICS & Co. PHOTOGENICS & Co. is actually an agency based out in LA, and this fragrance is actually a perfume oil. So I discovered this brand when I was at Essence in Milan last year, and this is such an interesting fragrance. The way that I can describe it is that it's very androgynous and very LA. It feels very cool. The cap on this fragrance is actually not the original one. I'll insert an image of the original cap on the screen so you can see what it looks like, because I couldn't bring it back with me from Milan because it's essentially a weapon. It's so pointy, and I would have probably been arrested at the airport. So I have the regular cap. So we go back to the scent. This is a very interesting perfume. It is resinous, it's green, it's woodsy, there's cypress in here. I get a bit of a pine needle effect from this. There's also some lavender, so it's a little bit soothing. It's also a little bit smoky, there's incense in here, and there's a hint of sweetness that comes from tobacco. So there's a variety of things in this fragrance, and overall the effect is very interesting. This is a unisex scent, and just very different than what you would normally find in Europe, for example. It has that like LA cool vibe to it, which I love. I feel like Gwyneth Paltrow would probably own a fragrance like this. because it's just really cool and edgy and something that I would recommend if you want to smell different. So that was number 4, BETEL by PHOTOGENICS & Co. Number 4 is Guimauve de Noël by Parle-moi de Parfum. Disclaimer, this fragrance was sent to me, but I am not being paid to talk about this. I genuinely love this fragrance, so I wanted to include it within this list. And the reason why I wanted to include it within this list is because this is a gourmand scent, but with a twist, which makes it unusual. So actually in the title, Guimauve de Noël, guimauve in French means marshmallow. So I was thinking, you know, of getting a very sweet fragrance along the lines of Pink Sugar by Aquilina. So I was like, okay, great. Not sure how this is gonna go down. That being said, this fragrance couldn't be different than what I had thought. This perfume smells like neroli sprinkled with sugar. This is incredible. It's a fresh gourmand. So it has orange blossom, there's sugar and vanilla, and the sugar in here is more of a powdered sugar feel. It's not your granulated sugar. It's very fluffy and airy and adds just a little touch of sweetness. The orange blossom here is very fresh. It gives this familiar feel, something that's a bit comforting. And overall, this is a great gourmand. If you like vanillas but want something that is different, then Guimauve de Noël is a great fragrance to try. Number 5 is PULP by BYREDO. This fragrance I've talked about extensively on this channel, and I will put the links down below so you can check them out. But this fruity scent is very unusual. Now, if you don't like fruity fragrances, I would still try PULP by BYREDO because it is so different than anything that you would have smelled before. I've previously described this scent as being a mishmash of green and overly ripe fruits. So that contrast between something that isn't ripe yet and something that is really juicy and ripe. So it's a bit of a strange scent. As I'm smelling it more and more, the notes in here are very clear to me now. This is rhubarb mixed with fig. So you get that tanginess, that tart feel from the rhubarb and the greenness of fig mixed together. There's also a little bit of a milky effect from the fig, but essentially this fragrance is quite juicy, green and tart. If you're a fan of rhubarb and fig based fragrances, I would recommend you try this perfume out. I think that this is definitely more of a polarizing scent and certainly more of the polarizing ones in the BYREDO collection. So make sure you sample this fragrance before you purchase it. Number 6 is a new fragrance in my collection. It is Confetti by LUSH. This fragrance was sent to me again, so thank you, Sue, for sending me this perfume. I'm so excited to have it in my collection. This perfume is part of the new fragrance collection by LUSH, sorry. Confetti by LUSH. This is part of the Florence collection by LUSH, which is a collection of fragrances that launched back in November last year, and it's inspired by Florence and the Renaissance. So this perfume is really interesting. Like many of LUSH fragrances, I find it's quite unusual. It has notes of rose, violet, and sandalwood. However, to my nose, I don't really smell any of these ingredients. To my nose, this perfume is a mix of pear and sugared almonds. So it's a very playful, sweet and yummy scent, and during the dry down it becomes more powdery and has more of that violet leaf character that comes out to play, but it's done in a very powdery and sweet way, so it's not too leathery, and overall it smells very nice. So that was Confetti by LUSH. Number 7 is yet another perfume that I have talked extensively about on my channel. It is D'Homme Rosa Eau Sanguine by Liquide Imaginaire. This perfume is really weird, but in the best way possible. I've described it in the past as it being a futuristic rose. This fragrance isn't just for the ladies. This is also for the men out there. It's entirely unisex and just super cool. So it opens with a very sparkling, effervescent grapefruit to pear accord. The fizziness of this fragrance when it opens, it reminds me of like little bubbles in sparkling water. That's how fizzy it is. And then it develops into this gorgeous, mysterious, metallic rose that's a little bit smoky. And the texture that comes to my mind when I smell this fragrance, I've mentioned in the past, is cold, shiny, hard metal. So a metal that's reflective, kind of like a mirror, and that coldness when you put your hand on it. This is what this fragrance makes me think of, but it is definitely one that I would highly recommend trying. So that was Dans Rosa au Sanguine by Liquide Imaginaire. Number 8 is Anti-Blues by Guillaume. Anti-Blues by Guillaume is a chocolatey heaven of a scent. It's very dark, it's mysterious, and for some reason it reminds me of being in the middle of a forest when it's pitch black outside in the middle of the night. That is the effect that this perfume gives me. It's also very spicy, there's saffron in here, and overall it makes a very intriguing fragrance. So if you're a fan of chocolate and if you just want to discover a new gourmand scent that has that twist, I would recommend trying Anti-Blues by Guillaume. Number 9 is Rose Berberanza by LANCOME. This fragrance is part of Maison LANCOME collection, which is the higher end collection from LANCOME, and they have beautiful fragrances. So Rose Berberanza is an interesting fragrance because it's a sweet, jammy rose that is dipped in milky, creamy pistachio. So it has that culinary and edible feel to it, which I find incredibly addictive and so different. I haven't really smelt that much pistachio in fragrances, and I quite enjoy it. It brings a nice little surprise to the scent. So the rose in here is very voluptuous. As I said, it's quite sweet. It just blends beautifully with this gorgeous milky, almondy, almost pistachio-like note that makes this fragrance so unique. This fragrance, I would say, leans more towards feminine. It's very girly and playful, but it is quite established. You know, it's not a scent, it's not a juvenile scent at all. It's a sweet scent for adults. That's what I would describe it as. And finally, we have a very interesting fragrance by STARCK perfume called Peau de Pierre. I've done an IGTV video on this. A link to my Instagram will be down below so you can check it out because I talk about the other STARCK fragrances. But Peau de Pierre is the one that stood out to me the most and is the one that I preferred in the collection. Peau de Pierre is a woodsy, earthy, and smoky fragrance. This fragrance to me is an entirely unisex scent, and it smells so good. Can't handle it. This fragrance to me is a bit woody, it's a bit musky, it's also a little bit almondy. If I had to compare this fragrance to other fragrances on the market, this is a hybrid between Pegasus by Parfum de Marly and Tardis by Carne Barcelona. For those of you who watched my channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of both of these fragrances. They both have this almond note, which I find again in this perfume, but it's definitely toned down in this fragrance. And it has also here a bit of a soapy feel, just a light soapy feel that gives it a bit of a comforting vibe, but it's so sexy. This is an incredibly sexy scent, and I think this would work really well in an office environment because it's an inoffensive scent, but it smells very good. This fragrance for sure is on my 2020 wish list. I will for sure be grabbing a bottle at some point this year because it's really amazing. And like I said, I think men and women could easily wear this scent. So this was Peau de Pierre by STARCK. Alright, so those were my 10 unique smelling fragrances. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried any of these perfumes, or if you have any other weird, unusual smelling scents that I should know about. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!